When people who survived something like genocide and we don't talk to them, we don't try to figure out their stories, we lose a part of history that teaches us not to repeat ourselves in the most awful ways. My name is Jelena. People know me as Jaćim. I don't remember when I found out about genocide in Srebrenica and other war crimes and things that happened during the 90s wars. But it wasn't in the history books. I think that it's just a consequence of the educational system. Everything is like pretty much connected when you think about it. Most of the people have their problems in their life and I think they refuse to think about it. And then they get really aggressive when the topic is being brought up because it's a difficult thing to deal with. And they think that if they say that it was genocide happened, I think that they think that they're going to have all the blame. I don't know. I try to understand it often, but it's not like that. I don't directly feel guilty for something because I was a baby. I think you have I call it collective guilt. It's not a guilt like that is directed to you, exactly, that you feel. It's not the biggest guilt in the world that is directed towards you. But you need to always think about it. It's a guilt that makes you think and question and listen to other people. So the activism came naturally to me because, yeah, it's fueled by the feeling of disappointment in this regime, in the former regime, and also in disappointment with people turning towards the nationalistic narrative.
The beauty of the country, 3 different groups, ethnic groups, 3 different traditions, and that's something that we should be proud of, and we should respect that, and don't use that for wars. My name is Ajna Jusić. I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm the member and the president of the Association for Forgotten Children of War. We make people uncomfortable, and that's fine. And before that, before association, we did not make them uncomfortable because they didn't know who we are. We just ask, where is the logic? Because it was really, that was the honest question that we had for society. Like, if you know that there is almost 50,000 of survivors of rape, like, where is the logic? Do you know how to make babies in this country? I was born from the bad decisions and very evil things, and I think it's my obligation to tell that I don't have much choice as a child born out of rape and to decide to be silent on that. Those people are free people, and there are so many reasons to feel unsafe, not just in our case. Everyone share the space. Victims and war criminals share everything. They share hospitals, municipalities, coffee bars, street, public transportation, everything. But I don't know, in my case, I don't feel that I want to share place with rapist and generally with biological father. It's like not, but it's not my choice. And my mother, she did everything that she could. She informed the government, the courts, she identified them. But so many thousands and thousands of survivors, they survived and they don't know even who raped them. And that's basically that you need to accept that that's it, that there is no way to find those people. You know, children born out of war, we are not the only group who needs some human rights in this country. Everyone needs that human rights. But from the beginning, we didn't have equal position in that fight. So I think that through laws and this kind of advocacy, we will see what we can do. But also we got this opportunity to tell. I think that is the most important, to have opportunity to tell your story and to not be rejected because of the identities, different identities, and also to articulate that we are not guilty for that. And one of the special results of everything is breaking that kind of comfort zone that war rapists use, because we share the space, they are free people. I don't know, maybe I saw those people, I don't know the faces, my mother knows, but they cannot live so comfort life. And then we just decided to, from that personal perspective, it's, I think, for everyone, for each child, is important to break that zone and to take it for ourselves, because it's ours, it's not for them.
I started thinking about life and what pisses me off. Some people will think that I'm an artist, but I consider myself like maybe an applied artist in the area of activism. Art makes me feel like I'm doing something, that I'm contributing something to the world. I'm not just sitting there or like making things look nice. And also Ajna and her friends in the organization, they also make art, you know, but some different kind of art. And that's a way for us to deal with difficult topics that bother us, or to express what we are feeling, what we are like questioning about in life, and what lessons we are learning. So I always think of those countries that we live in, like former Yugoslavia. I see a unity in people. I think what connects us is the culture and the stories. Why would we execute them because they're living there, or remove them, or ethnic cleanses? Like, why would you remove somebody who's living there? You have to have a personal responsibility to try to learn what you can, and to talk to your kids and young people about it. So that's why I also, when I heard Ajna's story and the story about her mom, of course, those stories are everywhere. And when we meet a lot of women from Bosnia and Herzegovina, they're like really open to talking about their like family lives, what they survived, and they're like teaching you something very valuable. But Ajna's story and her mom's story is really different, and I think that Ajna and her organization, I think they're changing the world a bit, and I hope they change it a lot.
Before the association efforts on the legal recognition, children born out of sexual violence were not recognized in the laws, it's not just about Bosnia. We talk about global problems. So there was no law who treat needs and problems of the children born out of war through rights, human rights. And the base of the legal advocacy that we had is to give civilian victims of war status for the children born out of war, and we ask for rights between children born of war and children whose fathers were damaged or killed during the war, because as a country, immediately after the war, we set the rights for those children whose fathers were killed or damaged by war. And I don't know, it's, I think, gender perspective and patriarchal structure of the society that did not allow children born out of rape to be recognized. Being born out of rape is not easy, but also finding that your father is a rapist is also not easy. So I am proud, but more grateful to my mother on everything that she did and how she handled this story, how she raised me on this way, because her main lesson all my life was that, when it comes to punishments and responsibility, and when it comes to question who is guilty for everything, she always gave me this lesson that I need to understand that some choices are individual choices, and that if we need to blame someone, we need to blame just people who did it, not entire group of those people. So we are patriarchal society, and we do not respect gender equality, and that's obvious. And I think that it's not just in this moment, it was before war, and I think that the highlight of that was during the war when it comes to rapes, that was used as a main weapon. Also, we don't have government who is ready to do something on that question on the gender equality, but also we don't have good system of education, and we could raise new generation who respect the female part of this country. Because of that, I think that we as a state, as a country, as a society, we built this violent culture where we created an atmosphere where if women survive the violence, it's not something that you need to report, it's a shame. So I think basically we just want the same in Bosnia and in Serbia, and that's equal society and society in which we have equal opportunities, and we don't want to survive violence, and that's it. We are completely aware that rape are not be stopped in one moment, wars will not come to the end, never. But if our stories can help for the future generations of those children, I think it's good enough.
The regime doesn't accept that genocide happened, and you see that they're a little bit annoyed and scared that we are still talking about this, what happened during the 90s and the genocide. And I think they're scared because people talk about it more and more. And Serbian politicians and people in power, who are also, a lot of them were involved and on positions during the 90s regime. They're like thinking that Ratko Mladić and Radovan Karadzic and all the war criminals are right. They defended something that the Serbian nucleus of either family, religion, or politics, and territorial in territory. Yeah, so it's strange. It's awful.
It is really hard to explain what happened in here in a short way, because there is no short way to explain genocide. I'm Amra Begić, and I'm a mother of two. I'm from Srebrenica, and I'm working here in the Memorial Center as a deputy director. So on July 11th morning, when Srebrenica officially fell under the control of the Bosnian Serbs military forces, we had two groups of the people, refugees from Srebrenica. The first one, and it was the bigger one, women, kids, old people, people with mental and physical problems, you know, they were running to this place where we are standing now. But just about 6,000 people sheltered to the base. The rest of them, around 20,000, they stayed outside of the base because they were stopped by the United Nations peacekeepers, actually Dutch, but three here in Srebrenica, because they received the orders by the Bosnian Serbs military forces that nobody else is not allowed to shelter to the base anymore. So those refugees were stuck in between Dutch from this side and Bosnian Serbs who were coming from the other side. The day after, on July 12, actually, the Bosnian Serbs forces, they easily mixed with the people and they started to separate men from the women. You know, some men they killed directly across of the road. According to the reports of the Dutch veterans, it's between 100 and 400 men and boys killed in the White House across of the road here. The rest of those who were separated, they were keeping them at the field also across of the road. The women and kids, they were taking them to the buses and trucks and they were driving with them in the direction of Tuzla. And at the beginning, nobody didn't know where they are taking them. Today we know that they brought them nearby place Kladanj, from where they still needed to pass the corridor of the Bosnian Serb soldier, 6 kilometers long corridor to reach the free territory, you know. So surviving Srebrenica was almost not possible for the man in between 14 and 90 years old. Unfortunately, here in Potčar, about 2,000 men were separated. They were mostly under the 18 or elder than 65. From the other side, we had a group of the men who were in this age between 16 and 60, who couldn't believe to the United Nations forces, so they decided to walk up to the mountains and to try to reach the free territory by foot. It is something that we named as a death march because more than 6,000 didn't survive. So this is really shortly about how more than 8,372 people died here in a few days, you know. Some of them they killed directly in the mountains, some of them, as I said before, here in Potčar, but most of them they brought to the execution places. Most of those execution places were at the territory of the municipality Zvornik. They slaughtered them, they wanted to check if there is still someone alive, and then if they found someone, it was a bullet straight to the head. Yeah, this is how my father died, so this is the hardest part for me. So there was no chance to escape. And after that, they drove them to the primary locations of the mass graves. Then they replaced them to the secondary locations, and that's why we are still looking for our dearest. You know, we buried here at the cemetery 6,721 identified victims, but most of them, they are not complete skeletons. You know, we are still missing some parts of our dearest. My grandpa was 78, and we buried 55% of his skeleton because of those because they replaced them from the primary to the secondary and sometimes to the third one. So it's really hard and long process for the victims, for the family members, for the International Commission on Identification, for the Institute for the Missing Person from Bosnia. You know, it is really a painful process for everyone. Yeah. So that's it, what happened in here. It's strange, but to make it clear, all of us, the family members of the genocide victims, there is some strange feeling that we can't explain when our dearest, just before the identification is finished, you know. we don't know that it will happen, definitely. But when we receive the information that the identification of our dears is finished, then we understand the things that happened in the days before it happened. Anyway, in November 2008, I had a dream. I was sitting in the middle of the mass grave, taking the bones out of the mass grave, and I was able to recognize the bones of my father, like this belongs to my father, this not. On the end of the dream, I missed a small part, and then if I didn't say that to my colleagues, to the former director of the Memorial Center, everybody would think that it is not true, that it is not possible that someone had a dream like that. But I told him, and then we told the other colleagues, and then they told me to call the identification center in Tuzla. And I was told, we just wanted to call you. And then they told me that they found my father. And then I said, how much? They said, it is whole skeleton or just maybe a little missing part. I said, yes, there is a missing part, and then I was numb. I fall down because it was, I think, I am strong women. We survive many things, but for some moments, sometimes it is too much. And for me, it was too much to know that I saw everything in my dream. But later people told me that it is how much I wanted to find him, how much I needed to find him, and how much our souls are connected, actually, So, yeah, then the process is like that we need to go to the identification center to recognize personal belongings. And I was told that my father was killed by the bullet straight to the head. So immediately I know that he actually survived the first slaughtering. Then his deadness was confirmed by some Bosnian Serb soldier who came closer to him. And it was bullet straight to the head. So it was the hardest part for me, because if I can go back, I would not like to know that. Because I knew that he needed to wait, maybe 5 minutes, maybe longer, maybe a minute. I will never know. But he knew that he's not alive anymore. And that is the hardest way for someone to finish the life. But somehow I know that he was thinking about us, about 4 of us. I have 2 sisters and mother. I know that he was worried about what is happening with us, because in his life it was all about his girls. He did everything for us. Sorry. I'm trying to not cry, but when it is about him, he was my best friend ever. He was a very special man.
Amra's story about her father and her dream about finding his remains inspired me for some reason. I felt some connection with her, because I only had an idea. I was really nervous, and I didn't feel like I'm the one that should do that. I felt like, okay, I'm just some girl that draws stuff, and I'm an activist, but I don't know if I'm not smart enough, but experienced and knowledgeable enough to work on this kind of topic and to offer my support and, to openly talk about it through my artwork and to represent the people's stories as they are. Because I used all the things from evidence materials, there are no words that came from my head. So that was really difficult too. I felt great. I felt that I had the biggest responsibility to not make things look like, to not re-victimize the people. Also, I didn't want to draw people that died in a bad way. I wanted to draw, for example, young boys and men who were killed. I wanted to draw them as their parents and friends remember them.
I didn't know Jelena, and I would never think that someone would do something like that, because I was happy to hear that someone is in Belgrade, not because she drove it, it's because she listened. She decided to listen our stories and to understand, you know. We both came to the idea that it would be great to have the exhibition, and she says, yes, I'm already planning something like that in Belgrade, which was really brave. So I have to say that Jelena is really brave, but also I know that there are much more young ones and people who support her, which is great, you know. So she had an exhibition in Belgrade. Then I said, maybe we can do it here in the Memorial Center. So a few months after, we were working on the exhibition for the Memorial Center, and we had it here exhibited for the 2 years, you know. And now I can say that I have friends in Belgrade, you know, which is definitely a huge positive step, you know. And I really hope that we will see more and more, we will hear more and more stories like this. So I just hope that we will have more people like Jelena is everywhere, not just in Serbia.
It's my responsibility as a person living in Serbia to listen to other people's stories and to focus also with knowledge about facts. I need to focus on people's personal stories. I don't want something to happen again, to repeat itself in my name as a woman, as a like person with feelings of solidarity and tolerance. I don't want something to happen in my name. So I don't want nationalism, I don't want weapons, I just want peace and tolerance. So it's my responsibility to work with myself, and that's the only thing I can do. It's the small thing, but I think that's enough. Women who are fighting also the fight for peace understand that we need to talk to each other. We are not uncomfortable. They don't see us as guilty people, and we don't see them as just victims. We see them as, I call them alive monuments.